everyone, this is Keith Scott from out in Sydney, Australia. I'm one of the voices of Bullwinkle J. Moose. It's time to watch Relentless and Unstoppable. And so give it up for your main hosts, Douglas Kelly and Andy McPhee.
I like that. Did what was go-kart racing like? A little change of subject here.
Oh yeah, that's a huge story. I first got into motorsports in 2007 and around 4th of July when I was in Loveland doing some shopping. And back then we had newspapers, not newspapers that were digital. And I remember seeing in the newspaper a photo of the number 26 Irwin Tools car. And I knew it was the same kind of car in the movie Cars, but he narrowly beat the Kellogg's car by like a foot at Daytona. And what it read on it was Jamie McMurray, winless since 2002, narrowly beats Kyle Busch in the Pepsi 400. And I just remember reading that with interest, wondering, whoa, that is close and cool, you know? And so the next year I watched a few races and Jamie McMurray quickly became my hero, especially when he drove in the Bass Pro Shops car. And by 2009, I got hooked. In 2010, Jamie McMurray won the Daytona 500, which is the Super Bowl for NASCAR. And from then on, I was hooked. I watched every NASCAR race, and with help from my parents, I attended every race at Phoenix Raceway from 2008 up until 2020. And it was awesome seeing all the drivers that won, like Ryan Newman, and there was Kyle Busch, I think, one year, and then from 2010 to 2000. I think it was 2020, it was dominated by Kevin Harvick to the point where I would go into the track and say to my buddies, gee, I wonder who's going to win today. But anyway, outside of school and outside of my struggles, I did go-karting as a hobby. In 2012, I briefly joined a K1 racing series in Denver. I don't know if it still exists, but in my first race, I qualified seventh out of a 15 go-kart field. And it was an uneventful run. It was mostly a follow the leader deal. And I only passed one go-kart during what was like a 100 lap race, I think. And so it was virtually uncompetitive. But I was lucky enough to take advantage of a last lap accident to finish in second place, although I wasn't ecstatic about it because I knew that I wouldn't have finished there without the accident, But still,
that's racing.
It's racing, yep. And then what happened was I was persuaded to come back the next week, and I won my first race.
Good for you. Good
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, and then throughout the rest of the month, I competed in a few more and won two of them, I think. Two more, and then I knew, okay, this is my hobby. So I get to Arizona, and I join the Arizona K1 division, which was basically the same thing, but just Arizona. And in 2013, I spanked the whole field, and out of 15 races in 1 year, I won 12 of them.
Good for you. That's so cool.
It was a lot of fun. And I had one perfect race, which was in Casa Grande at a road course, because it was usually road courses and a couple ovals. But I won one race that was perfect. I won the qualifying session, the time trials, the pole, ran the fastest lap, led every single lap, and won the race. Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Thank you. And I just, but people ask me what memory I like best out of all of them in my championship year. I have to be honest, it wasn't that perfect race, although that was a lot of fun. My best memory, aside from the championship, was when I invited my older brother to partake in a race as well. And he only agreed to one race just because racing wasn't his cup of tea, or for racing deals, it would be his type of hot dog. But yeah, he partook in one race and he qualified second. And I somehow didn't do good and I qualified fifth. But the minute the race went green, my brother went, he pulled away from everybody and I could see in him that he was like, he was going to win that race. And I was able to spend the first two laps getting to second place successfully, but from then on he had already pulled away by like over a straightaway. And eventually I started pulling away and I was expecting by like lap 5 that it was going to be a 1-2 finish and I was pulling for my brother. But sadly the next lap I was going on the front stretch. I look over to my shoulder and he's stopped on the track, banging his fist on the wheel. And sadly, it turned out that his fueling person did not fuel his go-kart. I felt really bad for Harrison, and
Bummer.
I felt for him, and I just remember afterwards, I just remember standing on the podium after leading the rest of the race and winning. And Harrison came up to me. That's his name, by the way. He came up to me and shook my hand to congratulate me. And I just told him straight out, this should have been yours, bro. I feel sorry for you, you know? Yeah.
Again, it's racing. I've I don't know, anything in the motorsport world I enjoy. That's I've spent a lot of seasons competing on dirt bikes. That's always been the hobby outside of school or work, has always been motorcycles up until recently, and now it's just fitness. But I raced competitive for quite a few years. I did the Arena Cross series, the Enduro Cross series, and then some local enduro events as well, across the Midwest. So it was a blast. Everyone's got a story. Like I remember pulling up to the starting line. I had just started working with a new shop that was sponsoring me, and I was on a new bike. Like, I had a few nights to get it ready for race weekend, and I pull up to the starting line on my qualifying race, start the bike, go to put my goggles on, and the bike dies, and I fouled a spark plug right there. Lost my qualifier. Had to race in the last chance qualifier to get my position for the main event. And it's just that's motorsports.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. Many people thought Marco Andretti was going to win Indianapolis in 2006, and he gets passed on the final lap by Hornish, Sam Hornish Jr.
That's you got to watch until the end. You always have to. You always have to.
Yeah, what's your funniest memory in a dirt bike if you had to pick?
Gee, that's all we have for Relentless and Unstoppable. So tune into the next episode to hear more amazing stories from amazing guests. This is Keith Scott from Sydney, Australia, saying so long, and I'm smarter than the average bear. Gee.